Close your eyes and picture the exact moment the lights drop. That split second where the crowd inhales together, where thousands of strangers suddenly feel like one body, one pulse, one heartbeat waiting to explode. That feeling is what 2025 gave Australia and New Zealand back in full force. Not gently, not cautiously. It came roaring back like it had something to prove. After years of uncertainty, delays, and false starts, live music didn't just return, it reclaimed its throne. Welcome to celebrity rap life, where the red carpets never roll up and the spotlight never fades. The rewards are legendary. Because in celebrity rap life, every downfall can become a comeback, and every headline tells a deeper story. Hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss a second of what's coming next. This was the year people remembered why they line up overnight, why they refresh ticket pages until their fingers ache, why they're willing to spend rent money just to feel a song hit their chest in real time. Legends returned like they never left. New stars arrived like they owned the place. Venues of every size turned into pressure cookers of sound and emotion. Somewhere between the first opening chords and the final encores, it became obvious that we weren't just attending concerts. We were witnessing a moment that would be talked about long after the ringing in our ears faded. If dominance had a soundtrack in 2025, it would belong to Kendrick Lamar. What he achieved this year went far beyond touring. It felt like the closing chapter of an era and the opening of a new one at the same time. After dismantling Drake in a rap feud that still echoes through hip-hop conversations, Kendrick didn't disappear. He doubled down. He stepped onto the Super Bowl stage and reminded the world who controls the narrative. Every verse felt intentional. Every pause felt loaded. By the time he arrived in Australia in December, the anticipation was suffocating. These weren't just concerts. They were victory parades disguised as live shows. Fans came armed with encyclopedic knowledge of his lyrics, dissecting every setlist choice like scripture. Kendrick moved effortlessly between eras, proving that his catalog already reads like a greatest hits collection decades ahead of schedule. New material landed with authority, while songs like Humble and DNA detonated crowds on impact. What made these performances unforgettable wasn't just technical excellence. It was the feeling of watching an artist fully aware of his power and wielding it without hesitation. Kendrick in 2025 didn't feel like someone chasing relevance. He felt untouchable, an artist operating in an imperial phase that few ever reach. Decades before TikTok trends and streaming algorithms, Kylie Minogue walked onto an arena stage in Brisbane unsure if she belonged there. In 2025, she returned as royalty. The Tension Tour wasn't a nostalgia trip. It was a statement. Structured like a theatrical journey through her many eras, the show balanced precision and joy with the ease of someone who knows exactly who she is. Every act revealed a different side of Kylie, from the disco pop icon to the modern hitmaker who refuses to be boxed into the past. When Padam Padam echoed through arenas, it didn't feel like a comeback moment. It felt current, alive, unavoidable. The crowds told the story themselves. Teenagers danced alongside fans who had followed her since the 80s. Attendance numbers soared beyond expectations, proving her reach had only expanded. This wasn't a victory lap. It was a reminder. Kylie Minogue isn't surviving pop music. She's still shaping it. Lady Gaga has never done subtle, but in 2025 she delivered something even rarer than spectacle. Control. Confidence. Mastery. When the Mayhem Ball Tour reached Australia, it arrived with the weight of expectation and somehow exceeded it. Gaga didn't just perform songs. She inhabited them. Every movement felt deliberate, every vocal choice surgical. Years of acting experience fused seamlessly with her musical instincts, turning each performance into something closer to live cinema. What truly set these shows apart was her willingness to strip the armor away. Beneath the costumes and choreography was Stefani Germanotta, vulnerable and unfiltered. That contrast made the spectacle hit harder, not softer. 17 years into superstardom, Gaga performed like someone still hungry, still daring, still willing to risk everything for the moment. The result was electric. Critics scrambled for new ways to describe her. Fans left knowing they'd seen something singular. Lady Gaga didn't just remind people why she became iconic. She proved she still is. Lewis Capaldi's return carried a different kind of weight. His December shows weren't defined by production or theatrics. They were defined by honesty. After stepping away to focus on his mental and physical health, Lewis came back to Australia and New Zealand with nothing to hide. He talked openly about Tourette's and anxiety, about fear and doubt, about the reality behind the songs that make people cry. The crowds responded with overwhelming love. These weren't passive audiences. They sang for him when he needed it. They held space when moments got heavy. His voice cracked at times, but it only made the connection stronger. Lewis Capaldi represents a shift in what success looks like. He showed that stepping back isn't failure, that vulnerability isn't weakness, and that people will always respond to truth. His comeback wasn't just moving. It felt necessary. Metallica's return felt monumental. More than a decade since their last full Australian run in years removed from cancelled dates tied to James Hetfield's recovery, their 2025 shows carried history in every note. From the opening riffs, it was clear this wasn't a legacy act going through the motions. Metallica played like a band still hungry, still dangerous, still aware of their power. The setlist spanned 4 decades, blending early thrash ferocity with later career depth. Deep cuts surprised longtime fans. Newer songs proved they still had something to say. The crowd told the rest of the story. Parents stood next to teenagers discovering Metallica for the first time. It felt timeless. Watching them in 2025 wasn't about nostalgia. It was about endurance. Few bands survive this long. Even fewer remain this vital. When Oasis announced their reunion, disbelief turned into obsession overnight. 16 years of separation had only mythologized them further. By the time their October shows reached Australia, the stakes felt impossibly high. Could they deliver? Would it fall apart? The answer arrived with the first chords. Oasis sounded locked in. Less chaotic than their 90s peak, but no less powerful. The swagger was intact. The songs landed with new weight. Lyrics about fading dreams hit differently when sung by voices weathered by time. For fans who never thought they'd see this band live, these shows felt surreal. For those who had, it felt like closure. Not a rewrite of history, but a continuation. Oasis didn't try to recreate 1996. They made 2025 theirs. Earlier in the year, before the stadium spectacles dominated headlines, Olivia Dean quietly stole hearts. Her February shows felt intimate to the point of disbelief. Playing the UNSW Roundhouse to just over 2,000 people, she commanded the room like someone destined for far bigger stages. Every song felt personal yet universal. Critics left knowing they'd witnessed the beginning of something significant. By year's end, those instincts proved right. Her second album dominated charts. Her return at the ARIA Awards felt like a victory lap no one rushed. Olivia Dean's rise wasn't loud. It was undeniable. Parkway Drive did something few bands would even attempt. They brought heavy music into the Sydney Opera House. Backed by a full orchestra, their June performance transformed songs built for mosh pits into sweeping cinematic experiences. It wasn't a gimmick. It was a redefinition. Fans heard familiar tracks reborn with emotional weight that caught many off guard. This wasn't just a milestone for Parkway Drive. It was a statement about what heavy music can be. They didn't just belong in that room. They owned it. Arf's Deuce closed the year like a slow-burning revelation. Their shows weren't about spectacle or crowd hype. They were about immersion. From the moment they stepped on stage, the music flowed without interruption, pulling audiences into a shared emotional space. Songs blended seamlessly, building and releasing tension like a guided meditation with basslines. Even skeptics became believers within minutes. There was trust in the room. Trust that the journey would be worth it. In 2025, Arf's Deuce crossed the threshold from beloved act to undeniable force. When the year finally slowed and the lights came back on, one thing was clear. 2025 wasn't just good for live music. It was defining. It reminded us why we gather, why we sing along with strangers, why we chase moments that vanish the second they end. These tours didn't just entertain. They left marks. And years from now, when people talk about the era live music truly came back, this will be the year they point to. This story is far from over, and the truth is still unfolding. I want to hear what you think. Drop your take in the comments. And if you don't want to miss the next twist, hit that like button, subscribe, And turn on notifications so you don't miss a second of what's coming next.